tonight, and this is the regular scheduled edition of Scott Johansson's couple housekeeping things before we dive in to what we were going what I want to dive into tonight. Uh, we will have a predetermined episode of Scott Johansson's coming up later this week. Seth is very sorry he couldn't make it. We spent the last little bit here trying to figure out what has happened to his picture on his device. So that's kind of what's going on here with my co-host of this program, Scott Johansson's. Um, but I do, I did want to discuss, um, you know, you look at all the NASCAR covers for 2025. Uh, what race do you feel like um was your favorite? My my favorite was Daytona. Nothing gets bigger than Daytona. Um, you know, people say Daytona 500 is kind of not very big anymore, but you know what? Um, I want to basically say, you know, that the airways is still the Great American Race. It's our Super Bowl. Um, you know, I I honestly w- want you guys to know, um, Fox Sports and their coverage of NASCAR back in the early 2000s with Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Dale Waltrip in that booth. Boy, what a booth it was. Um, they they always did their best to bring the sport to us. And you know, why YDW retired. You know, that that is his um decision, and I stand by it. But I still do miss those days of boogie, 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 boys. Let's go racing. Who who is your favorite broadcaster of all time for motorsports? Um, you know, I sit and I look at the current lineup for NBC and Fox and and Pineville and TNT. They're all pretty much the same. Uh, I really liked how Pineville really took you, the fan, and made me love the sport even more than what I do now. Good job, NASCAR. Um, and and so, and I also want to say, um, you know, you look at all the teams that have ever won the title. Um, Jim Johnson, Mr. Seven Time in this decade, almost could have been 8 time. But you know, all good things must come to an end. He tied the record of Richard Petty. That is a very accomplishment in itself to be known with Richard Petty and Dell in law. You know, and so with that being said, I w- I want to cover a couple more things. You know, NASCAR is a good get entertained by a lot of the racing. Um, so, um, and I look at the teams going into this year. I'm looking at Daniel Suarez. Boy, is he going to do well at his new home behind the 7 car at Spire Motorsports. Only time will tell. Um, and and it makes me really intrigued to watch some of the changes that are happening within the Cup Series this year. Kyle Busch, new crew chief, gets the 7 car crew chief from Justin Allgaier. Justin Allgaier attempting the Daytona 500 again in 2026. You know, when I saw that, I thought, man, what what a surprise. Um, I'm not too surprised seeing how they made their first start in the Daytona 500 last season. Um, and Justin wants to improve um on its effort at the Daytona 500. Um, I also would like to say this. Um, you know, there are times when there are things going on in life, but all the support you guys have shown this Tuesday night program of Scott Johansson's has been incredible. So, on behalf of myself and staff, thank you. And furthermore, the support you have shown when it comes to that giveaway we have going on, which closes on December 17th. And yes, we will have the spin for the car. That's Tuesday night after the 17th on Scott Your Engines. So, with that being said, I appreciate everyone popping in here tonight. Um, and I would just like to say that I am very grateful to have this channel and to have racing to talk about. So I am going to Seth and I will work hard to get the technical side of this program on his end up and going again. And we will see you guys all on a rescheduled edition of this program. Scott Johansson's. Um, thank, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Um, if you have, oh, hello. If you have any suggestions for the show, please leave them in the comments. And, you know, and I want to say, yes, I am having a good day. Thanks for asking. But, in closing, I want to say thank you once again to everyone who has ever tuned in to Scott Johansson's. Seth and I have fun making it for you. Whenever you're away, and I hope you guys have a good evening. That will do it for this edition of Scott Johansson's. On behalf of Seth and myself, Justin, this has been Tuesday night's edition of Scott Johansson's. Good night, everyone, and goodbye, everyone.